Hello, and welcome to this special edition of my ArundelBiz podcast. I'm Grayson Orfe.
And I'm Allison Akers. We are your hosts from Anne Arundel Economic Development. As you can see, we're not in Anne Arundel today. Where are we? We are actually in Ocean City at the Maryland Association of Counties Summer Conference. And in our special edition today, we are sitting down with our very own fearless leader, Jerry Walker, the Anne Arundel Economic Development CEO, as well as Kevin Kinnally, Maryland Association of Counties Associate Director. So Jerry and Kevin, introduce yourselves, give us some background.
Thanks, Allison. My name is Jerry Walker, as you mentioned, and I'm really excited to be here on the podcast today. Looking forward to my first experience on the podcast. I've been watching it for a while, and so you guys are doing a great job, and I'm real proud of the efforts you're making. I've been on the county council for the past 8 years, and was recently appointed to this job by the new county executive, Stuart Pittman, and started here in February, and have been having a tremendous time. We've got such a great team of folks here at EDC looking out for our businesses in our county and helping them as they grow and expand, and so just looking forward to continuing to do all the things that you all have been working on and sort of try to bring my own sort of spin on it or taste to the corporation. So
Yeah, we're excited to have you here.
Thanks.
And Kevin.
Yeah, so I'm Kevin Kinnally. I'm the Associate Director at MACo. As mentioned earlier, we are very excited to be here in Ocean City, and we're very happy to have you all here as well. You play such a crucial role in economic development, and all counties need that, especially in this moment with our economy and things of that nature. So we're really happy that you're here. I'm happy to be on this podcast. I watch you guys all the time, so I'm honored.
Yours as well.
Good. I'm
Yeah,
happy.
you're a podcast expert. We're rookies as compared to you.
The video, that's pretty intense.
It's a new one.
For those that don't know, he is also the podcast Conduit Street
podcast. Yeah, and Jerry has been on there. We've been happy to work with Jerry. Jerry was the president of MACo, so we traveled around the state. So have a great relationship here. And again, thank you for having us.
So first things first, Jerry, well, let's get to know you, because for the people out there, we want to really get into the makeup of who Jerry Walker is. All right. So we're gonna get deep down.
Sounds
We're gonna
good.
find out. So, what past experiences in your career have shaped your role as CEO of Bayfront?
Thanks. I mentioned the county council. That's obviously, something that was very important in my life and something that I really had a passion for doing and enjoyed serving in that role and that capacity. And, for me, I think sort of all of the different things that I've done in my career have sort of prepared me for this role, which is really awesome. And it's one of the reasons why I love it so much. I worked in the private sector for 22 years for a small business. When we started there, we had 4 employees. When I left in January to start this job, we had over 60 employees, and I was able to sort of see that growth from a small little company at a little strip shopping center all the way up into an office park with a full-on corporation, and we grew from about $400,000 a year in revenue to about $10 million. So it was neat to be a part of that operation and to watch that grow and to sort of be a part of the management team to help that company succeed. And then I also at the same time was in the government sector, understanding how the county operates, how planning and zoning works and the zoning laws and how that affects businesses in the private sector. Also have relationships with the state through MACo's influence, going out and talking to state legislators and advocating on issues that are important to county governments. So I sort of get the government and the policy side of things, and then I also have private sector experience, which is, I think, important from my perspective when you're dealing with businesses that are coming in to ask for our help. They're saying, hey, we need help, and it's nice to have somebody that they feel like understands what they're doing and then also understands the government side of things as well.
Can really relate to businesses that make up Anne Arundel.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Now, you've been here going on a year. What's the best part of your job? What do you think that you most enjoy?
The best part of my job is consistent actually with when I was on the county council, and that was I just enjoy helping connect people, and especially in this job, connecting people with resources. And as you all recall, and Kevin, you didn't hear this, but the other day it was kind of neat. We actually had we have a loan program that we administer for the state through our video lottery terminal proceeds, and we're one of 8 fund managers in the state. And I had the opportunity to sit across the table from a young woman who came into our office about 1.5 years ago. She wanted to open up her own beauty salon, and this has been her lifelong dream. She was a business graduate from Oregon State, and she wanted to do hair, and that's what she's loved to do all of her life. And she didn't have the resources to open her own business, so she came to us with her business plan. We put her with one of our small business counselors. They helped her develop that plan a little more fully. Then we took her over to the finance side and got her talking to our loan folks, and they helped her with her credit score and with filling out all the paperwork and going through the application process. And I was able to sit there and sign off on a loan for her so that she could see her dream fulfilled of starting her own hair salon. And I just got choked while I'm saying it, but I was able to sit there and sign the paperwork in front of her, and she broke down crying. I started crying, it was like,
it's a touching story.
It really is amazing. But that is why I do what I do, and it's like what I love about this job. And that sort of moment in time, sort of for me, captures everything I think that we're trying to do in economic development, and just puts a real great, awesome exclamation point on it.
Sounds like that's what it's all about, and really it sounds like what you've developed is a one-stop shop, right? From start to finish, helping people achieve their dreams, as you said. And that's got to be incredibly rewarding. Absolutely.
It is.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
10 years, I don't know. I for sure would love to stay in this role. I mean, I'm having a blast here. I'm really enjoying myself. I think we've got a great team of people at the organization, and I see great things in our future. I think there's some things that I'd like to see the organization get involved in that I'm already sort of pushing towards with regards to development and redevelopment in the county, and I'd like to see some of those things take place. At the end of the county executive's term, if I could continue to serve, I'd be happy to do that as well. But all those things are part of being in a political appointed job, right? But for me, for right now, I'm focused on helping us to continue to do what we've been doing and try to sort of expand our horizons a little bit and get us involved in some other things that I think are important for the growth of the county.
So we are here exhibiting on behalf of Anne Arundel County, and Anne Arundel Economic Development is exhibiting on behalf of the county as a whole for the MACo Summer Conference. Can you talk a little bit about what is MACo, why are we here, exhibiting our county?
Sure. So MACo is the Maryland Association of Counties, and we are a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization representing Maryland's 23 counties in Baltimore City and their frontline services. So we advocate for them to the Maryland General Assembly, and we represent them on a range of issues from public safety to planning and development, right? We're very happy. This is one of 2 conferences that we have each and every year. I think a lot of people think of MACo as this summer conference, which is good. I mean, it's growing, and this is a record year for our conference, which is it's really a testament to Virginia White in our office, and we have a great staff that puts this together. It's a huge event. But so we advocate on behalf of the counties, and what we really try and do is make sure that the General Assembly in Annapolis understands each and every county and how they're unique and how different policy affects them. So I think we do a great job of advocating for the counties. We work with our elected officials as well to make sure that they're involved and that they have a role with the General Assembly. So again, we're really happy that you're here on behalf of the county, and happy to be on this podcast. But MACo, we're not just a summer conference. We do a lot of work, as I think Jerry can attest to. But that's MACo in a nutshell.
So you get a sneak peek of our booth here with our background. Jerry, I understand you used to be past president of MACo, and in your current role as economic development CEO, how do you see the two working together? What is the importance of economic development and MACo working together?
I think it's really important, actually, going forward, especially we get so many different issues across the state, and as Kevin was mentioning, we have a really wide range of jurisdictions. We have very small rural jurisdictions that have very low population. We have very densely populated cities like Baltimore that are part of our organization as well. And so the issues vary depending on what jurisdiction you're in. But I think the cool thing about at least my job so far has been I've been meeting some of the other folks that work in economic development, and I've done that through my relationships at MACo. So I have relationships with the commissioners and councilmen across the state, and I've used those to reach out to their economic development offices. So it's been fun for me to sort of make those connections, because I think, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm new into economic development, but there are obviously a lot of other jurisdictions that have sort of some different concepts or ideas or different mechanisms that they're using to attract business to their county or to retain businesses. So, for me, I'm excited about being here because in this role, in my new role, because I think I'll be able to utilize those relationships that I built when I was here as the president of MACo now to help our county in with regards to economic development. So I also would like to see, frankly, some more engagement from the economic development folks at MACo going forward. I think it's important for us to work together. I know some of us are nonprofit organizations like ours is, and so we're limited as to what types of advocacy we can do on behalf of our organizations. And so I think MACo, as a function of an organization that's established by county government, is in a perfect position to, as we create policies or strategies that we think are effective at the county level, for MACo to take those and champion those at the legislature on our behalf, because sometimes we are not able to do those things. So I think there's a great synergy that can be realized going forward that's not maybe realized today.
And that's definitely on our radar too. Working with the economic development folks, as you said, it's so important, and kind of getting everyone in the same room. MACo is very good at that. We have a number of professional affiliates where folks from across the state can come together and they can talk about best practices and some of the challenges and successes that they're seeing at the local level. So I think to provide that opportunity for economic development is crucial moving forward.
I also think too, it's interesting, one of the things when I first came to MACo, one of the biggest, most impactful things for me was really, I was a new elected official, so there's no training class to be an elected official, right? I mean, you fill out a form, you put your name on the ballot, you stand on the corner and sign, wave, and door knock, and pass out literature.
You knocked a lot of doors.
I heard about that.
Thousands of doors.
You didn't knock on mine, but I did hear about that.
I knocked on a bunch, but you get there, and so it's like, okay, now I actually have to do the job, right? And so I need to learn how to do that job best. And so one of the things that I think was helpful for me was MACo has a whole partnership with the University of Maryland, and they take you through a course through their School of Public Policy that actually gives you a series of classes that helps educate you about being a local elected official, things that are important both legally and things you'll be dealing with. And I think going forward it would be helpful too, to have economic development be a piece of that instruction for newly elected officials. It was one thing that, as I mentioned, when I came to the office, I didn't have a lot of connection with economic development in my role as a council member, and I think it's really important that we advocate to our elected officials and help them to understand the role that we play and how important that is in each of the jurisdictions. So,
the Academy for Excellence in Local Government, and that is a great forum, and I think adding an economic development piece is certainly something that we can talk about, because as you said, I think oftentimes economic development sort of takes a backseat role, and I'm not sure why that is, but as we move forward, I think it's really important for all counties, and all counties are definitely looking at economic development, and I think you're going to see it put more on a pedestal than it is.
That segues right into the next topic about, so the conference theme is Winds of Change, and about the change that all governments are going through and how you harness that for good. Can you talk about, give maybe a little bit of a preview of the sessions?
Yeah, so the Winds of Change, really it's about a lot of new technology that's coming into government, and we want to make sure that all of our folks are prepared, and everything from Next Gen 911 to 5G to drones, again, planning and zoning. We have all sorts of sessions. Today we actually have a tech expo, which is right around the corner, and it's massive and it's great. You have a lot of exhibitors, a lot of new technologies, but we do see a lot of new and innovative ideas coming into government, and that's what this is all about, and bringing people again to the table, making sure everybody's on the same page and how to use that for good. Also, there's a big emphasis on cybersecurity. Obviously, we've seen a terrible ransomware attack in Baltimore City and in cities across the country where these folks are able to access networks and then hold all that information hostage. And so we're bringing in cybersecurity experts, we're bringing in folks from the governor's office, and again, it's a session to let them all sit together and work some of this stuff out, exchange best practices, and make sure that they're prepared, because these threats, unfortunately, they're not going away.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've done a lot of work on the next gen 911
Yes,
as well. I think
have.
it's important across all the jurisdictions. I don't know if
Absolutely.
people really understand what that is. So.
Yeah, Next Gen 911, I mean, so right now you have your traditional 911, you dial 911. With Next Gen 911, you'll be able to send photos and videos so that first responders know what they're walking into. Also, you'll be able to have much better location accuracy with cell phones. Right now, you have the traditional, triangulation where they kind of know where you are, but if you're in a tough spot, they might not know exactly where you are. And then the ability for 911 centers to work together and exchange calls back and forth in the event of, a high traffic event. So it's really revolutionary, and I think the bill that was passed this past session is leading the country in terms of our structure and how we're going to get to Next Gen 911, but it's absolutely crucial for public safety.
So, Jerry, in keeping along these lines of change, winds of change, how do you see, if you do, economic development changing in the next couple of years? How can we harness things like new technologies or, I don't know, just any trends that you might see?
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, and Kevin just mentioned small cells in particular, something that I think, we were at one of the, I think it was the BWI partnership, it might have been Fort Reliance, breakfast recently, and one of the 4-star generals from the Army was there speaking, and he actually mentioned small cells. It was one of the top 5 things on his list, saying 5G was one of the things that was coming, and it was extremely important to Fort Meade, which, as we all know, is a huge driver in our local economy.
Yes.
And so, we've been focused on that. It's actually an issue that I followed very closely when I worked with MACo and at the General Assembly. And so we have sort of taken that, I've sort of taken that on at the county level. And while, typically economic development doesn't get involved in legislative policy, locally, I've been very engaged on this issue because I know a lot about it and have worked on the issue quite a bit. So we're actually drafting legislation now that I've been working on with the county executive's office to advance this concept of small cells, because it is an important component of our economy going forward. When you look at autonomous vehicles and the fact that all of us have phones in our pockets, we're all looking at Facebook, Instagram, we're looking at LinkedIn, we're viewing video. Video takes up just huge amounts of bandwidth, and when you look at the impact that that's going to have on businesses, on the Department of Defense, on our cyber security, like all of those things, that one little piece of technology that we're talking about, where should we put a box on a pole in the county, should they be allowed on private property, all those little sort of nuances of this rollout of this sort of infrastructure, which is really important, really will drive the economy. So I think that's one thing that, we're sort of ahead of the curve on, if you will, that we understand and recognize it's an important piece of our economy locally, and so it's something that I'm working on and continue to focus on. So
I think on small cells, MACo, it's a big issue for us, and I think you're going to see, and we are seeing, counties rolling out that legislation that you talked about at the local level, municipalities at the local level. I think from a county perspective, of course, we all want 5G, and it's crucial, as you all said, for economic development, for education, across the board. But I think we want to make sure that our residents at the local level have some input too. And again, I think we are making a lot of progress across the state with the locals rolling out their own legislation to advance this issue. I think too, what we want to make sure, we have a lot of parts of Maryland, rural areas, that don't have high-speed internet. We want to make sure that they are not left behind and they don't get further behind as we advance 5G. So a lot of moving parts with this, but I agree it's crucial, and it's something that the counties all want, and I think we're going to get there for sure.
And just so you all know that are listening, and Allison and Grayson, the cool thing about MACo, and it really shows the power that we have as an organization when we're all working together.
Yeah.
Because when you look at this legislation that the cell companies wanted to roll out at the state level, they've rolled their legislation out statewide in like 19 or 20 other states. I believe, Kevin, it's already passed. They hit Maryland and it stopped. They ground to a halt because MACo had a unified voice and said, look, we want local control. We want the local jurisdictions to be able to say what happens in their home counties, where these things should be located. We don't want someone at the state level just giving them blanket authority to come in and basically subvert our planning and zoning departments and inspections and permits. It's something that our citizens want, is transparency with regards to this topic, and so the best way to get that is to allow the local elected officials, like our council members and our county executive, to make those decisions. So we actually, MACo, has been the force behind blocking that large sort of push at the state level. to mandate things down to the counties. Instead, now the result is we're able to sort of craft our own legislation. And Kevin had a pretty awesome piece in the fight on that. I don't know if you watched it or not, but one of the things they wanted was the ability to put up to a 28 square foot box on a pole. So you could have a refrigerator outside of your kitchen window or your bedroom window full of electronic equipment the next day without any sort of hearing or anything. So Kevin built a 28 square foot box and rolled it into the legislature. And
we wanted them to see what this was, right?
It was awesome.
When you read that bill, you're right. We talk about small cells, but that equipment box, I think obviously when you have something like that pop up outside of your window, they're not going to call people at the state level. They're going to call their local government.
That's
right?
That's right.
And a lot of people were concerned, and we really wanted to show them what this meant, because I think the industry, a lot of times they'll show like a pizza box and this is what it is, but what was in the bill was that giant refrigerator-sized box. So I think that was pretty effective. It was an interesting tool. It was interesting getting it in there.
I would say so.
Through security and everything, but it
really
was
helps
fun.
people visualize what's going in, what residents.
Oh, here's the
What business is.
And again, it's something that we want. We're going to get there, but we don't think we need a statewide blanket law that tells us what we need to do and where this stuff needs to go. We're doing it at the local level.
And I understand, look, from the industry perspective, on the business side, like you want a predictable process, you want a standard set of rules, and we want that too. We just want our local elected officials to have a say in where those things are located, so that our citizens, have a say and involved in the process.
It's a great case study.
It is.
Absolutely. So, Jerry, now, where do you see, or what mark would you want to have for economic development in the future?
What mark?
Yeah.
Mark's
What mark would you want?
I think the biggest thing I sort of touched on it briefly when I was talking earlier, and that is I think the development and redevelopment piece. It's if you look at some of the larger jurisdictions like Baltimore City, Prince George's County, and even some of the small ones, Carroll County actually has a redevelopment or an industrial development authority, right? And so it's one of the things that we don't have in Anne Arundel County. We have not been involved in directly in land development issues. The county is a big landholder. We do own a lot of property in the county, and I think from my perspective, we have not been involved in that, and I think we can, and we have tried. We sort of dipped our toe in the water in Odenton and the Odenton Town Center. We sort of explored this whole transit-oriented development process. We got down the road quite a bit, and then the deal fell apart, but I would really like to see us in a position to carry that football down the field, and I believe that we can not only provide great living communities for our residents, places where people want to live and work and play, but we can also provide options for them, transit options where they can get to work up to the city, down into DC, and take properties that are being underutilized. I think the best way to describe it, underutilized properties, and make them and turn them into something that will create a ripple effect. The perfect example, if you just look up in Baltimore City at the Inner Harbor, the city and the state and Baltimore Development Corporation were involved in the big Marriott Hotel, and that got built. And once that got built, it created a ripple effect throughout the rest of Harbor East that has young people down there. It's a vibrant area. People are running along the water. There's restaurants to go eat at and things to go do and see. And so those are the types of things, the role that we have in economic development can play in a development or redevelopment of an area in the county. So if there was one thing that I'd like to see us be involved in by the time I leave this shop would be in that area, so that we can make some changes in our county that I think will impact our residents long into the future.
Well, do you guys have any last concluding thoughts? Anything about MACo you want us to know?
Yeah, so again, thank you all for being here at this conference. A couple more highlights. We're going to have a big general session on the Commission on Innovation and Excellence in Education, the Kerwin Commission. I think everybody has heard of the Kerwin Commission. Dr. Kerwin himself will be here. We'll have State Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Karen Salmon, Craig Rice, Montgomery County Council member who's on the Kerwin Commission, and current MACo President Barry Glassman, who's on the funding work group. And obviously education is super important, and it's super important to economic development and so many other things. I think counties are a little concerned about how these formulas are going to shake out. This is a major investment, so a great opportunity to talk directly to those folks here. We also have a really cool session on Saturday with volunteer and career firefighters. That's an issue that we're seeing in every county, how those two mix, and it's something where we want to make sure everybody's protected and we want to make sure we have the firefighters in place and EMS, but I think you're seeing across the board volunteerism sort of decline and how we're dealing with that. So that'll be really popular. Of course, we'll have the governor here, we'll have U.S. senators, and they'll have their own forums, but a lot going on this week, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to come on and talk about it with you all.
We're glad you could take some time out of your busy schedule.
Absolutely, and we're doing a live recording of our Conduit Street podcast today on the U.S. Census, which is so important. We'll have Secretary of Planning Rob McCord, and then we'll also have U.S. Census reps. So looking forward to that too, but just a lot going on for sure.
And then tomorrow I'll give a shout out to our local businesses. Tomorrow is Taste of Maryland, and we will be featuring Crooked Crab Beer, Anne Arundel County's first brewery, as well as some food from the Lighthouse Bistro, which employs people from the Lighthouse. They have a rework program that we want to feature for them.
We go there.
We're looking forward to
we
that.
go there often on the weekends.
Yeah,
it's great.
place.
It really is. It really is. And that beer is fantastic.
Yes.
I can attest to that.
So if you're coming out to MACo and you see us tomorrow at Taste of Maryland, you will enjoy the food and the drink that we have.
Great.
All right. Well, thank you very much. So you can find this podcast on all of our social media channels. So that is Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. It is featured on our YouTube channel, and you can find it at ArundelBiz.org. If you are listening today, then you can also find it on all the podcast channels that you like to listen. So that's Spotify, Apple iTunes, pretty much everywhere. If you search my ArundelBiz podcast, you'll find
We're
us.
everywhere. You can't run from us.
It's a great podcast. It really is great. You guys do a great job.
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Good to see you.
Pleasure.
Yep,
Thank you.
absolutely. Yep, thanks, Kevin. Appreciate you coming. Yep.